have you ever tried to do keto in a house full of people and everybody think it's dumb to eat? Like, it's going to be very hard to be successful if you don't have anybody in your corner, anybody in your atmosphere who is working in the same direction as you. Hey friends, I'm Rosemary Lewis, your homegirl, and I'm so excited that you are here. I do not care what it looks like on Instagram or HGTV. This whole being a realtor thing is not for the faint at heart. In 2017, I quit my job as a teacher to follow my real estate dreams and quickly found myself overwhelmed and struggling. Fast forward to today. Not only have I been recognized as one of the leaders in our industry, I have actually grown a business that I absolutely love. I don't care if you're a brand new agent trying to figure out how to get started or a veteran feeling overwhelmed and just stuck. I was just like you, and I totally get it. Many times I wish there was someone that I could just talk to about all the challenges I was facing, and that is why I created this space just for you. Like best friends do, I'm giving you all the tea related to navigating and thriving in these real estate streets. If I can do it, guess what? That's proof that you can too. Everything's better with friends, so let's succeed together. Welcome to the Real Estate Bestie podcast. Well, hello there, besties. Welcome to episode number 128. And you know what? I am going to call this one Rosemary Does It Scared, okay? If you've been following me for a while, you know that doing it scared or do it scared is a little mantra that came up in my life a couple years ago. And I have probably encouraged you at some point to do it scared. And y'all, like, I am literally on the eve of doing something scared that I want to tell you all about. And hopefully it encourages you to step out in the same way or in another way. But before I get into it, I want to answer a question from one of the besties. And this bestie slid in my DMs. And this is actually, y'all, a question that I get often. And it's because, it's one of those things that when you put your business out there, then what you end up doing is you end up building in accountability from all sorts of people. And I get this question. I just got it recently in my DMs, and I get it pretty often. And not just from real estate besties, but just from people who kind of know that I've shared some different things within life. So I wanted to share with y'all, give you a little update on my alcohol-free journey. So I shared with you all in episode number 114. That was an episode called Keeping Promises to Yourself. Definitely check it out because I kind of explained like what I learned from the alcohol-free journey and how I could put it into my business, right? And right around then, I just got through the holidays and I was like, okay, so I can throw parties and I can go to brunches and I can go to all the Christmas stuff without drinking. It might be something to this, right? Can I continue it? Because that's definitely something that I wanted to introduce in my life. But that was about 6 weeks ago. Okay, so all the homies are like, so what's up, girl? Are you drinking or not? I am happy to report that I am still keeping the promise to myself of being alcohol free. And y'all, I'm actually like, I'm catching a pretty good like side effect from it, because when I first stopped drinking, what I found myself doing was compensating with a lot of like carbs and sugary type situations. And it was probably because, I stepped away from alcohol right around the holidays when you just have more treats in front of you. But I swear, like, I was craving the sugary things and I was kind of worried about it. But then I'm in this other group of people who live alcohol free. And I posted, this is why you got to be in like different groups, like who get connected with people who are going in the direction or already in the direction where you want to go. Because legitly, I was like, Lord, y'all, I'm not drinking, but in a second, I'm be a little oompa loompa. I got to do something. And they all encouraged me and said, no, listen, focus on giving up one thing at a time. Don't worry about the weight. Like, just don't let yourself go, right? But don't worry about the fact that it was literally your body is craving sugar. Give it what it wants so that you don't give it the alcohol, because that's what your really goal is. And now I'm starting to turn the corner, and I might have seen like a couple pounds drop on the scale. I'm like, okay, Jesus. So yeah, so that is going pretty well. And it actually brings me to what I wanted to talk to you all about today in the whole doing it scared situation, because I'm feeling motivated. You know, that's how it goes. Like when you start gaining traction with something, you start feeling motivated, you start planning ahead, and you don't want to negatively impact your progress, right? So I was actually at the grocery store today, and I was at the grocery store because I need to meal prep. Today is a Saturday as I'm recording this video or recording this podcast. I normally meal prep on Sundays. I generally meal prep like a dinner and a lunch for me, but I needed to do it tonight because y'all, tomorrow I'm getting on an airplane and I am flying out to go in a room that, you know what? I don't know if I belong there, but they invited me. So I'm going to a room of top real estate professionals that I'm not in a relationship with any of them, but it's a whole situation. And I'm going to take you through my thought process of how I'm getting there and how I almost said no and the whole thing. But first, y'all, I had to decide I want to meal prep because I'm doing so good. It's like a domino effect. Like I'm doing good with alcohol or not having alcohol, which means that I want to make sure that when I go on this trip to Miami, I know that I'm going to, be eating out and doing things like that. So I went to meal prep so that I could be like right on track. So that's a ninja tip. I don't know if you need that ninja tip. Like you can apply that to anything in life. Like if you know you're going on out of town, plan what you're going to eat, how you're going to get back to work. Like how are you going to get back in the groove? Because I know if it would have been the day of me getting back and now I got to figure out dinner and all this stuff, I would just eat out again and it would probably just be a continuous cycle through the whole week. So sometimes just taking a second to plan ahead makes all the difference in the world. And like that is something that I definitely live by. But anywho, Rangel actually is a former client of mine, good friend of mine. She relocated from Texas to North Carolina and decided on a career change. Like she had bounced out the idea of real estate a few years ago. It was not a great fit for her at the time. So now that she is in this new market, and it worked out, right? Because she would have been building only to leave right away. And that wouldn't have been ideal for her. So she's in this new market and she's like figuring out brokerages. And, obviously because we are already in a relationship, I've kind of been a voice of reason, just a built-in mentor coach for her because, again, we have done life together. Like she's bought and sold with me. But even beyond that, like I just love her to death. So anywho, she joins this brokerage and, she's just telling me about, how much she loves it and her, she FaceTimed me one day and she's singing my praises to her broker, her team leader, who has a brokerage of, I don't know, a lot of agents, more than I got. And he takes an interest in me, right? So I'm assuming, right, because of what Rania has shared with me, has just kind of vetted me and, is just interested in doing some partnership things. And I don't really know what that looks like because at first I was like, hey, I'm not interested in going to a different broker. I'm pretty good where I'm at. And I love his style because he's like, hey, you don't like, I just value being across the table from thought leaders and from everything that Rangel has shared with me. And when I look your stuff up, you're clearly a thought leader. So like, let's connect. So I'm like, cool. I'm just thinking, how people throw out let's connect. Okay, sure, sir. Let's connect. Well, y'all, homie called my bluff because one day he reaches out and he's like, hey, we're getting together. We're going to do this mastermind event. Realtors, and he gives me a little synopsis of the different, and he didn't even call them realtors. I mean, and nothing, I'm not belittling being a realtor or a real estate agent, but it's clear that this room will not be entry level agents, right? Just from how he does his business and things like that. Like I was invited for a seat at the table, y'all, right? And initially I was like, you know what? Let me get back with you. I'll let you know because real talk, your girl is busy. Like literally even today, the day before we're going out of town, I'm working with a client and, just other things in life, getting ready for the Bestie retreat. It's not necessarily the ideal time, but I had to question myself as, okay, why are you slow playing it? Because this seems like a very interesting opportunity. It seems like a very interesting room to be in, a way to expand your network, your territory. Why isn't it an immediate yes, Rosemary, right? Pretty much, are you not walking what you're talking? And I had to really be honest with myself, y'all, and I had to dig deep. And I thought back to the very first time that I attended a real estate thing, like a mastermind or a conference, or it was like a one day, you all have probably been to them or you've seen them where people will post, I want to say it was like a panel, is exactly what it was. It was a real estate panel and they had a keynote. And this was like my very first time going to anything when I first got into real estate. And I never forget, like, first of all, I think I want to throw up like the morning before, because up until that point, I'd identified as a school teacher, right? I'm saying it like I identified. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. I was a school teacher, right? This was a whole different world. Everybody just seemed so fancy. Everybody seemed like they knew so much. Like, even down to, if you receive the Real Estate Bestie Devotional, I've written a devotional about this, about teacher clothes, like how I literally sat on the floor and cried before I went to this event, because I'm like, everything that I have, I'm going to look like a teacher. I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb. Pretty much imposter syndrome all up and down through that thing is what I was feeling. And it almost made me not go. And even y'all, like, I wish I could tell you that when I went, everyone was so warm and so welcoming. And I left with all of the different ideas. That's not quite how it went. Now, am I saying that they were nasty? No, they were not nasty. Everyone was cordial, right? It was like cordial. It wasn't like, hey girl, hey. It was cordial, right? It was cool. It was cordial. But just being in that room, listening to the panel, the people sitting next to me, the one-off conversations that I was able to strike. And at that time, to be honest, I really wasn't in a space where I'm really trying to talk to people across the table. For me, I'm literally looking up and I'm trying to soak in everything that I learned from the speakers. Like, hands down, the best thing for me to do. And so much so, y'all, that one of the speakers on the stage ended up being my first coach and team leader in the business that I've learned so much from, right? A lot of what I get to teach you all is being under her mentorship and guidance. And I think to myself, if I would have let that imposter syndrome that I was feeling disqualify me from being in that room, and if I wouldn't have ever invested my time and energy and really told the voices in my head telling me you don't belong there just to shut up, then how far back would I have been in my business, right? So I had to be honest with myself and say to myself, even with this opportunity, like, you know what? These folks in the room, and y'all, people, let me just back it up and just say this too. And this is something that I have to remind myself, whether it is being in rooms like this, whether it's cold calling, even though I don't cold call anymore, or striking up a conversation, right? You're going to a listing appointment and you've never met the people, and sometimes you get butterflies. Like, I literally just met a high profile client, and the day before, or even the morning, I was like starting to get butterflies in my stomach. Like, ooh, how do I show up? And I'm like, wait, this is just a person, right? And I'm not disqualifying them, but like, it's just people, right? And God did not make them any better than He made me. And I can show up confidently and boldly just as I am. And I don't care if they have more than me. I don't care if I have more than them. There is, like, on some level, I can connect. And what I thought about as I'm preparing to go in this room, right, is that I continually want to put myself in spaces and places with people who are thinking bigger, with people who are thinking better, with people who, like, let's just say we're on the same trajectory. Like, have you ever tried to do keto in a house full of people and everybody think it's dumb to eat? Like, it's going to be very hard to be successful if you don't have anybody in your corner, anybody in your atmosphere who is working in the same direction as you. And though, I'm not looking, at least at this juncture, in my career. I'm not looking to switch brokerages. I'm not looking for a new broker or to become open up my own shop. I'm not necessarily looking for those things, but can I sit at this room and sit at this table and learn from people who are thinking at this high level? You darn skippy I can, right? So even though literally I'm I don't know, I'm packing my clothes and I'm should I wear heels? And I was like, no, don't wear heels. I mean, I'll wear heels to dinner, but you show up at that thing exactly as you are and it will be okay. And I wanted to bring that up just to give you all that's one thing that has hung me up or tried to hang me up from going into rooms like this and doing it scared. Now, here's the flip side, okay, because this is such a conundrum. It is the complete opposite. But I'm going to tell you what also sometimes hangs me up. And I hate to admit this. Just know, I know y'all know that I love Jesus, but know that he is still working on me. And this really didn't happen this time. But let me tell you what has happened to me sometimes when I've had an opportunity to connect or go to events or have a seat at the table. Is that I have fooled myself to think that, girl, you already making money. I literally, I remember when I first hired my first real estate coach, right? And I was thinking to myself, I hired her because I went to a conference, shocker. And the thing that I heard over and over and over again from the people speaking from the stage who, were outselling me as much money as I thought I was making. They were outselling me with their eyes closed. The consistent thing that I kept hearing was the power of a coach, the power of having someone with a bird's eye view, the power of having somebody that can help you minimize your mistakes. I kept hearing that. So I ended up hiring a coach, y'all. But even in the beginning, I was kind of thinking to myself, but I'm already making money. Literally, what is this going to tell me to do that, and this is the part that I think where we get it twisted. And this is where I got it twisted with my coach is that, yes, I was already making money, but y'all, my systems were so jacked. Sometimes there are just small things that someone may be doing differently that you can learn from, and it may not change the amount of money that you're bringing in, but it darn sure can change the process. And I have been guilty, right hand, I'm going to be honest, of sometimes believing my own hype. Ooh. Anybody like this? And thinking oh, I know it all. I've literally had this happen. Do I share this? Yeah, I'm gonna share it. I don't care. I literally have been in situations where I know, right? I know that I am working with a realtor or I know a realtor that I can help. I can see the holes in their business, but they're not in a place where they're going to be able to allow me to come alongside them and coach them because they think they know it all, right? I'll never forget, y'all. One time I this lady asked me to lunch and I went to lunch with her because of another relationship. And at this time, I was not in the space that I'm in now with Real Estate Bestie, where we're coaching and doing courses. It wasn't formalized like that, but I was definitely a thought leader, right? I was definitely starting to make some noise in the industry. And I met with this lady because of a relationship that I had. I was friends with somebody and they're like, hey, she's really trying to get, she was previously licensed for 6 years and hadn't ever broken, I want to say 6 figures. And she just wants to sit with you. She sees what you do. I've told her, that you have a different way about going about things and your systems. They damn near begged me, right? Not begged me, but pleaded with me, please help my friend have a conversation with her. I'm like, yeah, I'll go have a conversation with her. That's completely fine. Y'all, I sat down with that woman and pretty much I think that she brought me there just to talk to me about her. Nothing, and in the few things that I could offer her, after the second time I offered a question, right? Because if you have ever coached with me, you know that I'm a teacher at heart, so I'm not just gonna tell you the answer. I like to ask you questions. I want to help you self-discover, but she was so defensive and really spent the entire lunch defending why her business would be completely fine doing it the way she was doing it, even though she wasn't making money. Look, there was a one point, and this is before I was alcohol free. I was like, oh, I'm just about to like cocktail on this chick because she not trying to hear me. Like, she knows it all. And a problem about when you become the type of person to think that you know it all and you are not continuing to be a lifelong learner, that's when you really lose out. My husband, one of his first mentors, told him something that will stick with me forever. He says, when you think you got it, you just lost it. And I have been, y'all, that person who has thought, like, I know exactly what I'm doing. But I promise you, there is always still much more to learn. Sometimes you just can learn from somebody's mistakes, right? I'll give you a great example. If you are a high producing real estate agent and you're thinking about joining a team or growing a team or starting a team, I one of the best things that you might want to do in your life is get yourself in a room with somebody who has a team. Don't be so, I don't care if you got to pay for their time. I don't care if you got to pay for the conference. I don't care if you got to, like, the best thing you can do is get into the room with somebody who has a team, because being a great agent does not translate to being a great team leader, right? And there are certain leadership things that you need to know. And if you think that I just know it all because I do business at this level, this is where you will start missing out. And that's something that I had to honestly, for this particular room that I'm going in, that wasn't my first thought. My first thought was like, oh, why did they invite me? They don't even know me, right? They don't even know me. And then I started, y'all, this is just how the devil will jack you up. Then I started thinking, knowing, like, y'all, don't get me wrong, I definitely make sure that my social media looks a certain way. I want it to look nice, but I truly, truly, truly work to show up so authentically. Okay. If you meet me in person and the interaction that we have in person isn't if you don't get the same fuzzies that you may feel on the podcast, or maybe if you repelled from me by the podcast, maybe you're going to be repelled from me in person. But I truly work hard to make sure that I'm showing up authentically, because that's the whole point of Real Estate Bestie, right? Letting us know, like, hey, the stuff you thinking about and worried about, I'm worried about and think about it too. So, but even I was thinking to myself, like, oh, I wonder, like, who do they think I am? Like, what do they really think of me? And y'all, that was nothing but me trying to punk myself on why not to show up in this space. So tonight, I'm a late packer. My flight leaves in about 8 hours. I will be packed as soon as this podcast is over. But tonight, y'all, I have decided I'm gonna do a scared. And doing it scared for me today looks like getting on a plane, flying to Miami, hanging out with people I've never met before. Like, they in a group chat. They invited me to a Sprinter van, to dinner. Like, getting in front of these people that I've never met before. My husband is going, but me and my husband are very intentional. Like, hey, we are going to learn to connect, to network. Like, we're not going to use each other as a crutch. And Corey's not a real estate agent anyway, so he won't be at the actual mastermind piece. But, like, I am doing it scared and getting in a room where I don't know what to expect, but I'm going with great expectation. And I needed to tell y'all that, because there was a part of me that almost punked out and didn't go, because I just kind of shrugged my shoulders at it. And at the end of the day, I know that if nothing else, like, let's just say, I don't think it's going to be a bust, but let's just say it is a bust, right? Like, let's just say I sit at that actual content, the mastermind day, and I'm like, I promise you that there's going to be somebody who invested to come to Miami on a Monday morning. There's going to be somebody that I meet, and they're going to be worth my time being there, right? I'm going to seek out those connections. And though that may be scary, though I might not know, exactly where I fit in, here's the thing. I deserve to be in that room, and I deserve a seat at the table. And even though I'm scared, I'm going to get myself there. So, what about you, friend? Are there some tables that there is a seat prepared for you, but you're just a little nervous to go to? I'm going to encourage you. First of all, it's a tax write-off. That's something else I was thinking. I was like, you know what? I need some tax. I need some tax write-offs this year. I'm going to, like, literally, y'all, almost all of my travel this year is going to be mastermind or business related. Like, I'm gonna be able to tell Uncle Sam exactly why I spent this money to go learn. Okay, it might have been in Cabo, but I went and spent this money to go learn. Yeah, there are different benefits, but also like just what will getting in the right room teach you about you, right? Going back to my whole alcohol thing, not breaking a promise to myself. What about the person who's listening to me? And it's time for you to start making promises to yourself, and it's time for you to start showing up and getting uncomfortable, but getting in places that are going to, like, where growth is going to be a requirement. And if you're trying to figure out that room, let me just tell you something. We are preparing a space with the Real Estate Bestie Retreat. I don't care if y'all sick of me talking about it, because here's the thing. If every time I talk about it, if you kind of got like a little thing in your stomach, like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? If you're like me, where you're trying to, like, imposter syndrome, should I be there? Are these real estate girls going to be all fancy? And that's why you need to be there, right? Because you know how I told you that room I went in, it was just kind of cordial. This is your space, right? Real Estate Bestie is your space where we are going to link arms, where you are going to feel connected and supported from the very beginning, but not connected and supported from people who are trying to just figure it out. These are people that are going in the same direction that you want to go or have already arrived, okay? So whatever you want to do in your business, we're going to have speakers that make some of us want to make 6 figures a year. Baby, the stage is going to be people making 6 figures, 7 figures a month, and not a pretentious way, like literally opening up the playbook and helping you understand how to expand your mind, how to gain the right skill set, how to implement the right habits, in order to get there with your business, okay? And I want to encourage you to be there. And if you are like I've been in certain times where you like, I'm making money, I'm doing this, like, do I really need to? Yes, you definitely need to be there, because number one, you need to share your gifts, okay? You need to share your gifts. But then number two, here's the thing. You need to expand your network. You need to expand your territory. And when you think you got it, you just lost it. Remember what my husband's mentor said. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, and John Maxwell said the best business you can, or the best luck you can have, is who luck, who you know. If we are only confined to our one market, our one area, we never leave outside of town. For those of you who are local to Dallas, we never network with people. We never have these conversations and figure out who other people know, how they're going about, how they're succeeding, and not even how they're succeeding. How are you staying afloat when you're failing, right? How is it that 2023 didn't take you out? Because it took a lot of realtors out, right? Being honest and saying, it almost took me out. So I'm trying to figure out, what did you do where you could show up so confidently after that tough year? If you are not putting yourself in spaces like that, then you are folding on you, okay? So Real Estate Bestie Retreat, y'all, it's all going down April 9th through the 11th. We're sold out of the VIP, the extra day, but don't worry about it, because we are packing, like, all of y'all VIP. We're making it an intimate event, but because it's intimate, let me tell you, we only have a few spots left. So head on over to rosemarylewis.com/retreat or Real Estate Bestie Retreat, either one. You're going to be able to snag your ticket, but you need to hurry up. We are going to link everything in the show notes so that you're going to be able to truly, truly, truly get your seat at the table before the seats are all filled up. And y'all, I'm going to sign off because your girl has to pack. Here's the bad thing. Like, it's hard for me to pack, especially for little trips, especially when I don't know who's going to be in the room. But you know what? I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to pack a little black jumpsuit. I'm going to have a good night's sleep, and I'm going to be scared in the morning, but I'm going to do it scared. I'm going to get on that plane, and I will report back to you all exactly how that went for me. And then you're going to report back to me how it is for you at the Real Estate Bestie Retreat. I love you so much. I 1,000,000% mean it. Please share this episode with your real life real estate bestie. Leave us a comment, leave us 5 stars, but more than that, bless us with your presence at the retreat, because I know that what God is going to do in that space, not just for our businesses, but for our lives, eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. And I'm just so excited and grateful to curate the experience for you. All right, besties, talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button, because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.